Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome to Azumi Game Devtober Day 14. So we are officially 2 weeks into this fucking crazy shit, and I have been playing with blocks all day. So I made a new file today, and I've been working on designing new enemies. And not the graphics, clearly, but just kind of like the basic logic behind it. So I decided to make a new file, a new project. It's called Enemy Playground, so I can mess around with this shit without worrying about it breaking anything I already have set up. So I got a little player right here and on the corner, and you can see right off the bat we got these flying enemies coming across, and so they spawn every couple seconds, and they can spawn from either the left or the right. And yeah, I'm assuming these are probably going to be like the weakest enemies in the vertical slice. They're going to be like Medusa heads. You know, any hit will take them out. Um, yeah, they're just kind of like in addition to all the main enemies that'll be in the game. Just another simple little obstacle. And I'm thinking if I keep them in the game, though, I'm probably going to have to add a jumping attack. Because right now you can only really attack with Izumi on the ground. And for most of the other enemies, that'll be fine. But for these guys, you definitely want to have a jumping attack since 99% of the time they will be in the air. So I was thinking about adding a jumping attack. I know I said yesterday that I was not going to add any more features, but I think this will be important if I want to keep these enemies in the game, because otherwise you'll just have to avoid them, and that'll be a little bit different. And probably not as fun. It'd be nice to kind of jump up and do a quick slash and destroy these guys in one hit, because they'll have incredibly low HP. So one hit from anything, whether it's a shuriken or a sword strike, will take them out. There's no collisions enabled right now, so I don't have to worry about getting hit by them or anything in this little test. I just want to make sure the logic for the enemies worked. So that's those guys. They're just going to keep spawning ad nauseum as this goes on. But if I jump over to this platform, you can see the next enemy is a turret. So it just tracks the player once you're within the line of sight, and it'll shoot. And if I move out of its line of sight, it stops until I jump back in, then it'll keep going. I don't know if I'm going to keep it firing like this in the main game, if it's just going to be bullets, or I might have it like shoot a big beam, something that takes a few seconds to charge up so you have some time to dodge it, and if you can't dodge it, it'll do a crap ton of damage. Because just like you're already dodging obstacles with the flying enemies, so I feel like dodging two sets of obstacles is kind of redundant. So if I have small little flying enemies that are regular kind of projectile obstacles, and then one like big beam that like has some charge up, they're two different kinds of things to avoid. And then like if you get over to the turret, you can probably blow it up and do some damage to it. Obviously the turret kind of tweaks out right now if I get too close to it. Another time with a jumping attack would be helpful. You can jump, whooshing, slashing your way down. And here's the last one. This is a big enemy that once you get in his line of sight, he starts to chase you. So right now his line of sight's just on this side. But if I start moving away, he'll chase me. If I turn around, he'll keep chasing me over here. And if I outrun him, he'll just stop and go back to his idle. It's idle right now. In the game, it'll be kind of patrolling, going back and forth. So that's why his sight's only on one side, because like I'm assuming right now he's facing this way, so like, you know, he gets to look at you, but he'll be flipping back and forth in the main game, so his line of sight will flip with him, obviously. But then he'll chase you down, and I don't have it set right now to do any attacks. Once he gets close enough, he will start attacking you. So these are three new enemy designs. They're nothing to look at, but the logic's all here. And I've designed the logic in a way that it should integrate nicely with the enemy family that I had set up before. The flying enemies have nothing in common with the base enemy logic, so I figured I'll just immediately set them to a state that is different than what's already in the enemy state, and so it'll just ignore all of that and they'll go by their own rules. But they'll still retain the enemy family so they can take damage. So right now, Izumi's sword strikes affect anything with the enemy family. So if I took them out and made them a separate object, I wouldn't be able to hit them without adding more logic. I don't fucking want to do that. That's redundant. So, yeah. I think probably tomorrow... I don't know if I'm going to add this logic in without graphics, or if I'm going to start working on graphics for designs in each of these guys, and then implement them in the main game once the graphics are done, so I can just do it all at once. Seems like it's probably the safer idea. Less chance of breaking things if I do it all at once rather than like have 2 points of failure. So I'm sure I'm going to run into some issues with the family stuff. Like, I've tried to design around this the best I can, but I'm sure there's going to be something that that I haven't considered that'll break something, and I'll spend hours trying to figure that out, and it'll be a pain in the ass. But you know, that's every day in game dev is a headache. There's always something I got to try and figure out. It's annoying. Like, that turret was really annoying. For some reason, the turret will be backwards unless you have a default to look facing this direction. It's kind of stupid. So that's why when I first came in, it kind of spun around, because there was no way to have it not do that. It's dumb. Everything's stupid. Everything's dumb. Games are dumb. I'm dumb for making games. Meh. But yeah, this is all working for now. Obviously, no collisions are enabled, so collisions will add a whole new dimension to this. But since they're all going to be in the enemy family, collisions, both by Azumi's weapons and with Azumi herself, should be automatically taken care of with the family logic, so I shouldn't have to add anything to that. But yeah, this is what I've been doing pretty much all day, is just working on enemies. I might design one more kind of enemy, because right now I have the 3 here plus the slime, so there's 4 total, and I think 4 enemy types for a tiny little arena room vertical slice demo is sufficient. Again, I'm not trying to blow anybody's minds. This is more of just like exercise for me than like trying to like make a best-selling game, because again, this is going to be released for free on the web. Nothing, this is not a commercial endeavor. But yeah, I thought this was take like a week to do. It took a couple hours. So unless something really bad happens tomorrow and everything breaks, I got to redo all this from the ground up, I am way ahead of schedule this week. So I can immediately start on next week's stuff after tomorrow if everything integrates. So hooray for that. That takes a little bit of the pressure off, and I might be able to add some other things into the game that I thought I wouldn't have time for, like cutscenes. I had an idea for a little intro cutscene when the game boots, and a little cutscene before the encounter starts. So maybe I'll have time for some of the bells and whistles I assumed I was going to have to cut. But I am not going to make any assumptions just yet, because who knows what tomorrow may bring. 6-hour diversions have come out of nowhere without me seeing. Oh, another cool thing is there's also a line of sight on the turret. So, not a line of sight. So like if I go over here, even though it should be able to hit me, it doesn't, because that block is blocking the way. So that's a little extra thing that's nice. And then these are just jump through blocks that I haven't used yet, but you can just jump from the bottom and just come up. You can jump on them. It's cool shit. It's cool shit. Everything works. So this is like the most visually unimpressive demo I've probably had in any of these vlogs. But yeah, this is like the building blocks for the actual gameplay. So yeah, I'm just kind of rambling now. That's it. Nothing exciting. There's a lot of work that went in here, but like the end result is just like, yes, this works. So I think with the slimes, they're just going to be constantly spawning. There'll be a bunch of them, and they'll probably spawn at the top of the room, and they'll kind of be able to slither down through the platforms until they just end up on the floor here and go back and forth. These big brute guys will probably spawn on the platforms and guard them. So if you have to go on a platform, you'll have to try and fight them. The flying enemies will just be flying randomly throughout the room, and you'll have to deal with them as they come. And then turrets will spawn probably in the corners, and again, they'll probably have a big charge beam. Maybe tomorrow I'll work on like changing the bullet to a charge beam, because that will take a little bit of extra logic. So maybe that's what I'll do tomorrow. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Pretty happy with it. I think all these things combined with Azumi's moveset should prove to be pretty fun. And even if it's not super duper fun, again, this is just a demo and a vertical slice, so I'm less worried about being the most impressive game of all time and just having something that ships, that's functional, and isn't like completely cringe-worthily noob. And hopefully it'll strike a good enough balance to be on the high end of the bell curve of first game. So as long on the upper echelon of that bell curve, that's really all I care about. So that's it for today, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow in day 15. Oh god, they're all getting me.